Put him down. Put him down. I'm not looking up.
3, 2,
All right, welcome back to the Agony of Positivity podcast. I am Ross, joined on the other side of the internet by...
Oh.
All right. How's the week been going?
Mine has been just okay, I guess.
Just okay?
I mean, nothing bad, so I mean, I guess it's okay.
That's pretty good. I had... Mine was very unexciting until I did the worst thing ever yesterday, but it didn't go badly. Mowing grass. So, for someone like you who has like a normal person-sized yard, I'm sure hearing me complaining about mowing my grass, which isn't even the size of like half of your front yard, is infuriating. But a year ago, because I had like quite that spell that things were not going well health-wise, like if I mowed the grass last grass mowing season, that was my day. Like I would have to stop halfway through mowing the grass and rest. Like from just, I still don't know what happened. No doctor ever told me for the brief period that I had insurance in that time, and I tried to find out why I was just so messed up. Couldn't really get an answer. But this is the second time now I've mowed the grass where I didn't even break a sweat doing it, and then just went about my day and continued doing things. So completely uninteresting, but for me, one of the biggest, like, mowing grass was anxiety inducing because it was like, I don't know if I will be able to finish this once I start it. Like I don't know. Like it was just crazy. But yeah, now it's like, I don't break a sweat. It's kind of like the before time. I think, I don't know. It's been so long, but I mean, I still hate mowing the grass, but there is something nice to know that if I mow it at 10 in the morning, I don't need to go to bed for 4 hours to recover. So,
so
that was my excitement.
To follow up your mowing the grass, I was going to mow my grass on Monday.
Yeah.
I get halfway through the one section of my front, and all of a sudden, this white smoke starts bellowing out of the engine.
Do you have a pushy or a righty?
A righty.
Okay.
So I mean, this is bellowing out, and it sounds like an ice maker in the engine. I was like, okay, that don't sound good. So I turn it off, and I don't know anything about engines or anything like that.
Right.
So I call the next day. I was like, well, I can't do anything today. And my push mower, so I have this push mower that I had from my old house.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really want to push mow this.
That would be if you only did your front yard and just left the back and saw what happens with the righty, maybe.
Yeah. It probably would take me about three hours, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe if I was in better shape, a little bit sooner. But in any case, I was like, well, I'll just cowboy it up. I don't want to do it, but it has to be done. So I started up, and I get like one swipe into it, and it's like, that engine craps out.
Man.
I was like, all right, well, no mowing the grass today. So next day I call for air guys to fix this.
Yeah.
And I call at least 5, and every one of them have put me in a lawnmower queue. So.
Well, because I guess everyone's like, oh, time to mow the grass. Oh, mine's broke.
Oh, dude, it's like May 31st, almost June, before anyone can get to it. And I'm like, good grief. So it's kind of like World of Warcraft and the queues, but not as fun because you're not going to be playing something that you want to do. I'm going to be paying someone to fix a lawn.
Man. So in the meantime, are you like just paying like a lawn service to come out, or?
So that was my idea because I don't want to mow the grass. My wife, being responsible or whatever, wants to just go buy another push mower and push mower.
Right.
Whatever.
She's gonna come back with one of like the old Cyclone blade.
Yeah. Well, we saw those at Lowe's. They do sell them still.
Yes. When I moved in to where I'm at now, because the size of the yard, my father-in-law had one of those. I was like, hey, let me borrow that because my yard is so small. I think that'll work.
Yeah.
There are a number of problems with those.
Sure.
Now, if you lived in like Iowa and you had no trees anywhere near to never ever drop even the tiniest branch or leaf,
Yeah.
it'd probably work okay. And if you mowed your yard every 2 days. But
Sure.
mine, like, the blades were sharp. Like, it was the Craftsman version. The smallest twig would jam it up, like, no matter how fast you were going.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, like, this is a really good idea in theory, but this thing sucks.
Really good idea if you lived on the 1950s Leave the Beaver TV show, where there was, like you said, no debris or anything.
Yeah, because I had a couple times, like, little bits of pine needle would get bunched in with stuff, and it would just, like, you're walking forward. It's like, have you ever seen where somebody walks by someone on the treadmill, and they pull the little magnet button, and it dead stops it? It was that, and I was like, okay, we can't do this. So now I have
Maybe if I had a strip of yard, maybe.
Yeah,
that might be useful.
I mean, there's a world where those are good. I just don't know where. Maybe if I had sod, where it didn't really matter ever.
Sure.
Yeah. I have the old fashioned Craftsman like motored push, but it doesn't have like the wheels don't engage or anything. And I had that.
It's not mow assist or whatever they call it.
Yeah, whatever the magic term is, self-propelled, I believe.
Yeah.
My grandpa always had those, and they were nice because he had a hill in his yard. But yeah, so I've had this thing for over 10 years, and at this point, it's like it was given to me, and it's basically at the point where it's an experiment where I've never done anything to it other than add a little bit of oil and the gas.
Yeah.
And it still works.
Sure.
Like, it's more to see how long it will survive. I mean, there's really not a ton of maintenance to it other than like spark plugs and stuff generally, but I could probably sharpen the blade.
You're supposed to change the oil out. You're supposed to.
Yeah, well, here's how you change an oil, just like cars, is you run it, you'll get a little light that tells you to add more. That means that you've gotten rid of most of the bad oil. Yes. Now you put in new oil.
I'd love to see the oil filter on that push motor.
Like, you mean I don't just tip it over in the yard? I had a guy, so there's a park that has, I don't know if it's a canal, like it used to be a canal or something, or it's just like a moat around the park. I assume it used to be a canal at one point in time. But I know a guy that, like, his house backs up to it, basically. And he was saying when he was younger, he was like, well, we didn't know anything, so when you changed oil in your car back then, you just take it back to the water and just dump it in there. He's like, it was like the 60s or whatever. He's like, we didn't know. It's like,
you didn't know how life works.
Well, you just figured like, oh, the oil's dirty, water will clean it up. You didn't realize like, oh, used motor oil is super bad for everything.
Sure. I remember as a kid, I mean, my dad, when he would change oil or relatives would change their oil, they would put it in like a milk jug or whatever, or like a coffee jug or coffee, metal coffee can, and they would just leave it outside for years. Until like finally, I guess the oil change places started saying, "You bring in your oil, we will dispose of it."
Yep.
But I remember my house, the houses that I lived in, always had like cans outside up against the house.
Yeah, I'm guilty right now. In my shed, I have multiple. What are they? The laundry detergent bottles
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
with old oil in it that
Yeah.
I think AutoZone, they have like, you can just set it on the dock and they'll take care of it. But
Yeah.
I've just never, because you can't really pour them into one of those. Yeah. So, well, and you never know when used motor oil is going to come in handy.
Sure, like the bonfire. That's the only thing I can think of. That's the only thing I've ever used old oil for.
Like, all right, everybody gather around. We're going to get real messed up on this bonfire. And some cancer. We'll find out. Oh, man. So, what do you want to go into this week?
Well, we got a lot of wrestling if you want to talk about Mania and AEW. And
Yeah.
the let goes and.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I read about that, but I forgot about it. Here we go.
I don't know what the hell's going on here, folks. Looks like he's just wearing blue jeans.
This is a revolution.
All right. So Dynamite did a very big show this Wednesday. Prior to that, there was Mania. And by big show, I mean like ratings numbers.
Yeah, because the show itself, I didn't think it was all that great.
I thought it was an average, solid show. Like there's definitely been ones that like I was like, this was just a show. This one, I was like, this is a pretty good show, but it wasn't anything that blew me away.
Yeah.
Like I would say, pretty much any week you could tune in, and this is slightly better than the average, I would say. But I didn't feel like it was the most amazing thing ever.
No.
Basing on like the shows they've had that are duds, bring that average down, because you'll have them where it's like, oh, this episode, not a lot happened. So, but yeah, Mania was a big deal. So you watched it?
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to find a website with the card on it.
There is.
Just keep talking.
Yeah. So try WrestleView.com.
WrestleView. Okay.
That is one of the ones I use. That. So there used to be WrestleZone back in the day, but before pop-up blockers were like the super easy thing.
Yeah.
It was the worst Like it went from the wrestling news site for me to the worst.
Well, how in the world does WWE not have like a section for their old pay-per-views? I mean, it's over with. Let's move on.
I mean, that's literally the case.
I guess.
Like you just described the entirety of WWE's mantra.
Reset.
I'm looking.
I mean, I can't find it. I can't find it.
So I'm pretty far down. WWE show, latest results, Elimination Chamber, NXT, SmackDown, Raw. I feel like there's a show that was in between Elimination Chamber and now that was a pretty big deal that you would expect to see on here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll just try to remember it, I guess.
That is absolutely amazing. That it literally just happened.
Yeah.
Why? Well, watch anytime on demand. Maybe they still want people to watch it, so they don't want to. Like, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I can only find card 2. So here, I'll just send this on CBS. CBS Sports, of all places.
Open it up here. Yeah, that's totally ridiculous to me.
It's in the past. Move on. If Shawn Michaels or Undertaker wasn't in it, we don't care.
I mean, that's pretty fair. Here we go.
So, now I haven't been watching WWE that much.
Yeah.
So I don't know the characters or the storylines or anything like. But Bailey's character, what it is? If her character is supposed to be annoying,
She nailed it.
So that's because.
So she was actually on, I believe, Renee Paquette, whatever you want to call her.
Yeah.
Podcast, I think it was, and she was talking about it. And basically what she's doing, like the talk show character for the Ding Dong Hello or whatever, which is basically what she's doing. She wanted to be slightly different than how she normally is. The in-ring character, I mean, there's similarities where she's kind of like the over-the-top, annoying, deluded heel, I guess you could say, but can still kind of back it up. But yeah, her, if you have no idea what's going on, like, I can just imagine how thrilled you were every time she popped up.
I was like, I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, it's yeah, and I mean, I don't watch it a ton, but I'm at least familiar with what's going on, and yeah, I could see.
There's card 1. So
Okay, like I didn't think about it as it was going on, but now it's like, oh, I can't wait. Like I would have been like, oh, I can't wait for this to happen. Although I thought
Hogan and Titus thing was cheesy, but when you added her to it, I was like, oh my.
I think you sent me Night 2 twice.
No, I did not.
Oh.
I did not, Ross.
I
Well,
don't
maybe
know.
I
The links are the same.
No, never mind then. Just go with it.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, so first night, I can't believe it's apologies. This is why we got that 1-star rating on iTunes, I'm sure. I was looking at that. No one rates us because no one uses the iTunes for podcasts, I don't think.
No.
And but I was looking at it, and like we have a couple or 3 or something 5-star, but then there's like 1-star, but no one ever leaves a comment. And it's just like, well, what a jerk. I just don't.
Because they know we would talk about them.
I have no clue how old that rating is because I never look at it. So,
sure. That one is more better. There you go. The ESPN. Finally, ESPN. More better. ESPN came through.
Well, that's nice of them.
Yes.
So did you like? Now the crowd helped, obviously.
Yeah.
Because they actually had one. 25,000, I think it was.
Yeah, like 25, 26 around there. Yeah.
Let's see here. Hold on, I got to make a note here that 17. At this point in time, just for the show notes, where we actually figure out a site that has the information.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, other podcasts would do this beforehand, but no, not this podcast. You have to bear with us.
Look, you see what you get. Basically, we're not going to pretend. We're not trying to pretend we're like super professional. If you want that, I think there's literally a million other wrestling podcasts that talk about video games and wrestling.
Sure.
So we're going the low production route.
So night 1.
Yes, after the rain delay.
So what did you think about it before we get into it?
The overall show?
Overall, yeah.
I'm curious how angry Vince McMahon was at Mother Nature.
Sure.
Because I could see him losing his mind over that. And if this will affect going to outdoor stadiums in the future.
It should, because I hate outdoor stadiums. I don't like the way they look.
I get it they're always trying to set like an attendance record.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
But the main thing about wrestling is, I'd say 50% of it is the entrance. And I think outdoor stadiums ruins the entrance.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Well, because, if you have, like, Undertaker coming out with the sun out, it's kind of weird. Those kind of things, if that were to happen. Like when he fought Giant Gonzalez way, way back. But yeah, overall, I mean, not knowing, like, I know enough of the characters. So, I mean, for what I watched of it, it was pretty good. But, like, I ran into the issue of the camera cuts. Just, I felt motion sickness
Okay.
at a certain point, and it was like, I'm not in. So, like, on night one, basically, like, the opening match, and then the Rollins match with Cesaro, that was really what I cared about.
Yeah.
I wasn't super into the Sasha Banks Bianca Belair feud.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of knew about it, and then they had, like, that Reginald guy that was involved. And once he totally turned me off to the whole feud. Like, I just didn't understand, because I didn't watch it enough. So the few times I had to check out SmackDown, or Raw for that matter, like, if they were mentioned or recapping it, it was like, I don't care.
Sure.
So night one, at a certain point I was like, I wonder if I can fall asleep during this, because that'd be awesome. so
Yeah. I mean, I like the Bobby Lashley match.
yeah, I was really surprised that Lashley won that match.
Yeah. The way they build up McIntyre, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm super confused, because, like, they had the Hurt Business, and then there was a match that Drew won that was, if he won, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander couldn't be ringside at WrestleMania. And then they broke up the Hurt Business, and everybody kept saying, like, oh, they're just faking it so they can get around the Hurt Business being banned. And it's like, no, they didn't ban the Hurt Business from ringside. They banned by name specifically Shelton and Cedric. So whether they're Hurt Business or not, they can't, like, those two, unless they legally change their name in the wrestling world, which would be hilarious. If Shelton would have came out and he was like, yeah, my name's Charlie Haas now. I legally changed it.
Yes.
Like, that would be that would have been fantastic. But yeah, so I mean,
WWE doesn't do stuff like that, so
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Like, of all the someone actually legally changing their name to get around is
and the funny thing is that they're still called the Hurt Business.
It's just because him and, I mean, if they were, I mean, tag teams have names, so that's fine. Maybe he's going to recruit some new people.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, I was happy for Lashley, because that's a big win for him. I mean, McIntyre is going to get other stuff. Lashley feels like the kind of guy, like, Vince might tire of him quickly.
Yeah.
And then he'll be back to talking about his sisters or something like that. Like, I don't know if you remember that when Lashley came back.
Vaguely. I know, I'm like, why are you ruining a good character like this?
Yes, that's basically what they did. So there's no telling when they might push him back to that. So good to see him get a dominant win over Drew. This next match,
half the people are fired, aren't they? That was in this match.
No, most of these people survived.
Yeah.
You're thinking of many other people. This match was, I'm just going to say, this was dreadful.
Yes, I would say so, yes.
You have a couple people who are good and know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things I've complained about. Complained, I guess, is the right word. Where there are people whose intensity don't match, to where, like, you watch, like, Natalya do something, as long as it's not following somebody into the turnbuckle. But, like, you have people who are really committed to the move and following through and trying to make it look good. Mostly the Riot Squad in this case. And then you have people who it feels like you can tell they're pulling a punch, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And it hurts me. This match had a lot of that, I felt.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, I just wanted it to be over.
I was off and on this match, so yeah.
We got Cesaro and Rollins. There was an excellent match. I thought.
Yeah. I just didn't care about it.
I just wanted to see what they were going to do. Seth Rollins went out of his way, I feel, to make Cesaro look as good as he possibly could. And Cesaro is a really good wrestler. So, no surprise.
Now, a little bit of a rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
Out of the what were they called? What was that group called with Roman Reigns and
Shield?
Dean Ambrose?
Shield?
So out of the Shield, I think. No, this is my personal opinion. I think Seth Rollins is probably the worst of the Shield. He's just never impressed me. I could never get into Seth Rollins characters.
His heel character, when he initially turned on the Shield, he was that swarmy little cowardly heel.
I think that's him in real life.
And he did it really well.
Yeah.
To where it's like you don't want to like him. And then he came back from the injury where he blew his knee up. And they made him come back as a heel when nobody wanted that. I don't know why they wouldn't have just brought him back as a face. That's what people wanted. Maybe to outsmart the fans. And then his face run was largely not I don't know. He didn't have much of a character. And honestly, the Monday Night Messiah, and what he's doing now, is more interesting to me than the other stuff. But
I thought he had a cult following. What happened to that cult? Did they break that up a long time ago?
Yeah, that kind of went away. Well, AOP, after we defeated them in the battle of the AOP title, sent them packing. They were gone.
Okay.
And then Murphy got married to Rey Mysterio or something, or his daughter. I don't know what happened with that.
Married to Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, sure, why not? They're gonna have little luchadors or something. No, I think he had a romance with Rey Mysterio's daughter, but then he briefly came back with Rollins. So I don't know if he is with Rollins right now or not.
Gotcha.
So there's no telling. But yeah, Murphy is really good too. But I don't know if they're actually going to do anything with him, or they're just going to keep bouncing him around and then he'll be ruined. So yeah,
I don't know. That's just my personal.
Yeah,
amazingly, I think Roman Reigns is the best guy right now, just because I like his heel character. So
they finally, again, the crowd wanted him to be in general, the vocal part of the crowd wanted him to be a bad guy. They finally did it, and lo and behold, you have one of the best characters in pro wrestling right now, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so.
And night 2, I think, solidifies that. But yeah, he's been killing it. So now it's possible that if they wouldn't have gone through all this, the heel character wouldn't have been as good. They would have given him some stupid heel thing where he thought he was Thanos or something. Who knows? And then it wouldn't have been good. But yeah, he's got good stuff going. Tag match, AJ and Omos against the New Day. How do you feel? I actually liked this match.
I thought it was all right.
I don't
know who Omos is. So
he's a he's a big giant. So he will either be super dominant or dancing in 6 months. I think that's the rules.
Yeah.
Basically. I like that they had New Day goad Styles into starting the match. And it was basically because usually it's the good guys who are trying to get the hot tag, and then the bad guys are preventing it. But this was backwards. That was neat. I like that. Yeah, it was an interesting spin on the take, and then they threw themselves around for almost as much as they could to make the guy a monster.
Yeah.
Which, Xavier Woods is excellent at that kind of thing anyway. Almost to his detriment, to where it feels like they use him to make people, and instead of focusing on him, he ends up just being the super enhancement guy. It's almost unfair.
I don't think he really cares.
the dude's super smart. So if he ever really wanted to leave wrestling, he could get a job right away.
Right.
From whatever I read about his credentials. So.
Yeah, I mean he's involved with a lot of stuff. So, I mean, and like I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to be like I know he wants to be King of the Ring real bad. Like he's talked about that a few times. And truthfully, he could probably do a King of the Ring gimmick thingy. Like he'd probably make that pretty entertaining. So they should.
Well, I mean, like you said, some people like that because if you believe, what Kevin Nash said, that Sid Vicious really didn't want to be the top guy.
Yeah, he just wanted to be a guy. Well, I mean,
there'd be a bad guy. So.
I mean, at this point in life, is like if I could get into a younger body, and wrestle, be like, I'd almost want to be like an enhancement guy for AEW, but be like, instead of beating me with your finishers, let's make some of your other moves be like winners. Like, like the 2 count moves that in WWE, they always act like people have been pinned by this move and it's never ever happened.
Yeah.
But like, make that would be my role, is like, I'm going to lose to your 2 count move or whatever.
Yes.
Or like Darby Allin, be like, all right, you're going to knock me out with your crazy suicide dive and beat me by count out. How about that? And then stuff like that.
I can see it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's what Woods likes, is making people super awesome while he then goes and makes bunches of money with other stuff he's doing. The cage match.
AJ's team won.
Mm-hmm.
You think AJ's like, man, I can't wait to go become with the Bullet Club.
I mean, I think he re-signed or something. Like, he's probably happy.
Yeah.
And, like,
Oh yeah, I think he is too.
It's amazing that he's been treated so well in WWE. Yeah. I mean, he's really good, so there's no reason he wouldn't be. But you've seen what's happened to other people, so it's like, we'll find out how they're going to use him. And it's like, wow, you guys actually have really taken care of AJ.
Yep, I agree with that.
It's a far cry, because I remember WrestleMania Star or whatever it was at Cowboy Stadium, where Jericho beat Styles, and people were like, oh my God, Styles is done for.
Sure.
He's turned out all right. So,
yep.
So the cage match. I fell asleep during and woke up to, I assume, Michael Cole screaming in time to see Shane McMahon go flying through the air and land on the mat. To which I was like, that's what I thought. And then I kind of like passed back out.
So I don't really like Shane McMahon wrestling.
Right.
So there's 2 parts to this. I don't really like Shane McMahon wrestling because I think he does better just as a manager type thing. Mm-hmm. That being said, the dude takes some scary bumps that I'm surprised that a millionaire would do. Yes. I mean,
well, it's
props to him.
You're basically like, well, Shane's going to take something crazy. I was convinced that they were going to redo the Kevin Owens thing, where Braun throws him like through the announce table or something, and then they act like that's never happened before. Yeah. Even though it's not been that long since that happened, I don't think. But yeah, him just hitting the mat, I was like, I kind of think landing on the announce table would be better than just the mat.
I think so too. Yeah.
That is.
Yeah, I mean,
that's my thought.
He does crazy stuff, so I
mean. Yeah. I mean, so you watched the whole thing? Like, I watched like highlight clips of it after the fact. Did you like the overall match, or do you think it was more just about Braun winning and Shane's the bully?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was stupid why they were fighting anyway. Because Shane called him stupid or something, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. I think Braun has mentioned before, like, bullying is something he doesn't really care for. But for a while, his character was a bully, so I don't know, like.
Yes.
But this almost seemed like this entire thing was designed around him being anti-bullying in a way.
Sure.
And if that's what it was really for, I feel like they could have done it a better way, but I at least understand that's a pretty good message, is to be anti-bullying. So, so if you're listening with kids and you have a bully at school, trick them into standing on top of a cage or a fence,
Yes.
and you throw them off.
I mean, it's good to have a really super good guy. So
Yeah. I mean, and Braun's the kind of guy that you could do that for, where he's standing up for somebody. And in this case, it was himself, but he kind of made it with his little speech, like that it's for anybody who's ever experienced that. So overall, it's like, it's whatever, but I kind of get the idea of it. So good for them. I did not even almost catch any of the Bad Bunny match.
I watched it because, for one thing, I don't even know who Bad Bunny is.
Right.
Now, and I was like, okay. And then The Miz, I don't care anything about The Miz, so I just
don't understand how you don't like The Miz. He's so good.
I just don't like him.
So everything I read about this is it sounds like Miz and Morrison did everything humanly possible to make this look good. Bad Bunny seemed to impress an awful lot of people because he's actually put in work and is a fan of wrestling. So, but he seems like pretty serious about wanting to do wrestling stuff. So he might be around more.
The few parts that I watched of it, I was. Stephen Amell did more stuff, in my personal opinion.
Right. I think because Bad Bunny is a bigger celebrity than Stephen Amell, that he's going to get a lot more credit than Stephen Amell did. Now, granted, like, a lot of Americans have no idea who Bad Bunny is.
Sure.
But overall, like, popularity, like, worldwide, he's massive. So, but it's just, I'm just happy that we're seeing celebrities across the board that actually kind of give a crap about wrestling and make an effort to be good at it for not a lot of time, because we had like Shaq, Stephen Amell, Bad Bunny here. There's been a few others that, they clearly either follow the product or they care enough to listen to people to make it good.
I mean, it's better than Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman, so I'll give him that, I guess.
It's super weird because it seemed like Dennis Rodman was super into wrestling and being in the NWO.
Yes.
But, like, was that more the people around him? Like, so you're going to have, like, what, Hogan tell you how to do something?
Well, it's funny because I remember when that was happening, and Howard Stern had Dennis Rodman and Hogan on one day, and they were in character. They were playing the NWO characters.
Yeah.
And they kept on doing references like "too sweet," and stuff like that. And Howard Stern's like, I have no idea what the hell you guys are talking about. So, I mean, like you said, I think Dennis Rodman was into it, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, he was into being in the NWO, but I don't know if he was into doing a wrestling match. But again, granted, Hogan knew how to make a match work for the most part.
Yeah.
He is nowhere near. I don't think he would have Dennis Rodman upstage him. So he's never going to get the best. This is obviously a biased opinion against Hogan, but I don't think he would let anyone upstage him if he could help it. So there's no way that Rodman or Karl Malone are getting the best information from him. So
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I don't know what WCW had as like a training, like WWE has like the NXT Performance Center, so like people like Bad Bunny can stop in there. They can train with like a dozen different people. I feel like if you have like Triple H invested, Shawn Michaels, and some of the other guys down in NXT are going to help you get ready for a match, and you actually have an interest to know anything about wrestling, you're going to be in pretty good shape to make an impression.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
So I did not see the main event for night one. Did you watch it?
No, I turned it
because I didn't know anything. Well,
Right.
It doesn't get because I like Sasha Banks. I just I don't know anything about the storylines.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I just turn it off.
Yeah.
After the Bad Bunny thing, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this.
Like, I'm done for the night. Apparently it was an excellent match. Bianca Belair is amazing as far as like athletics. So not surprised that it would get the reviews it did. Yeah, but I just didn't see it. All right, night 2.
Yep.
The night 2, I did way worse at staying awake because I was sick from the camera cuts again. I made it through Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, kinda.
Yeah.
And then the bro I had zero desire to see. So, all right, but Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
Apparently, if you distract the Fiend for a moment and hit him with an RKO, you can pin him.
I guess, yes.
I saw a theory someone had written out, and I kind of agree with it, is that there was a point where this match was going to be a cinematic match because maybe they didn't know about crowds.
Yeah.
And then they ended up having to do it in the ring. Perhaps. I don't know.
I don't know. It wasn't the best.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically like, okay, Randy Orton's going to move on. And we're going to do something with Alexa and Bray. All right, how do we get there? Well, we need a giant jack in the box. You mean a box-like structure? How about we call it a jack in the box? Well, I think it's a box-like structure. I don't know if you noticed that. They kept
I did.
it's a box-like structure. They're like, well, it's a box. It's specifically a jack in the box. You could probably got away with calling it the riddle box.
Sure.
I don't think ICP would have cared too much. But either way, like, yeah, the whole thing, I like the turn the handle and Fiend comes out. Like, I thought that was a really cool entrance.
Yeah, that was neat. Yeah.
I don't know what
the
they're...
whole match. I don't know what the end game is. Is Alexa Bliss going to fight Bray? Is she going to bring another Fiend to fight I don't know.
Yeah, I think that it started out where the Fiend possessed her or was corrupting her, and now she's turned so far to the dark side that she's going to control the Fiend and flip the roles. I don't know.
So is Alexa Bliss going to be like the urn for the Undertaker?
Maybe. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I truly have no idea where they're going. They kind of had her do a segment on Raw, but I don't know. I just don't get it. Like, the whole thing, I would be curious to find out if this is what Bray Wyatt has envisioned for the Fiend storyline, or if other people have had to put their fingerprints on it, and now it's just a muddled mess.
To me, it looks like a muddled mess, but who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, they kind of made the Fiend a little bit overpowered to start with.
Yes.
So they messed up a little bit there.
Agreed.
And kind of ruined Seth Rollins in the process at that point in time.
Yes.
I did not watch the women's tag team match.
I watched it. It didn't impress me.
It was
I mean, there's nothing about it that I'm like, wow,
Right.
that's pretty neat.
Yeah. Owens and Sammy.
I didn't care anything about this match, so
I was into this match. They always put on something good. The Paul brother getting stunned at the end was fantastic. Wish they would have done a little bit more of that, like 30 dozen times. Not a fan of the guy.
I know of him,
Yeah.
but he just looks annoying, and I don't know how the dude has gotten as much money as he has. But
Yeah, I
hey,
mean,
props to him.
Yeah,
Props
that's
to him.
basically what it like to so. So we're going to be
I hope
insulting
we're-
here to
I-
us, but to what I
I
would
hope-
consider us fairly normal adult human beings. So to people like us, he is super annoying. To younger audiences, apparently, he is it. So,
Well, and what I was going to say is, I hope one day we're as annoying so we can make as much money as he is. So, I mean,
I couldn't do it for any long period of time. All right, so your second favorite wrestler in the world here, Matt Riddle, is going against Sheamus, the original bro, or whatever they want to call him. What if they released Riddle and he joined the Best Friends?
I think it'd be perfect because he fits in that group. I can't stand his character, and I don't know if it's a character, to be honest with you.
It feels like because, and I think you said this, like, he's really good in the ring, and he's legitimately
he's
like tough.
He's good.
Like he's a legitimate fighter. But yeah, the character I find dislikable.
Yes.
It's like you turned RVD up, but in the annoying direction. I think, like it's the like if you were to capture RVD with a Pokeball and then feed him like some weed to make him evolve, he would turn into Matt Riddle.
And we have younger listeners here. He reminds me of Pauly Shore. I don't know if the younger people know who Pauly Shore is. That's who he reminds me of. It's annoying.
Yeah. So actually, less than Pauly Shore, but more the Weasel persona.
I guess.
Oh man.
I just tap out. I'm just like I can't stand it. So I didn't watch this match.
I have no idea. I know Sheamus won, but I know nothing about the match. I was out cold during this. Same for the IC match. Like,
I actually enjoyed this.
Was it good? I assume they just beat the crap out of each other.
I just like how they made Apollo Crews a heel.
Yeah.
He does a really good job at it. Yeah, I mean, I think he does. I don't know. I like it.
Well, when he was on the Indies before he was Apollo Crews, it might have been Uhan Nation. I can't remember what he was going by. But he's like really good. But I think on the end, like character wise, because I mean WWE, it's a lot about having like a character that they can do something with. He is kind of bland, whereas a lot of like stuff in the Indies, like you don't need much of a character. You just got to be a good wrestler, and the matches will tell the story, and like people are okay with that. WWE's never going to get behind you, if that's the case, without like some kind of engagement to the audience. So this gives him something to do. It's weird. The premise of this match being a drum match where you have to beat your opponent until it sounds like a drum.
Yeah, I mean, the match itself is kind of goofy, but I don't know. I enjoyed it.
All right. The women's match, I kind of wanted to see this, but I didn't get to.
Rhea's her theme music is terrible.
Yeah.
I could not take it. I mean, I've never been much into like scream metal. I don't know. I turned it off. I couldn't watch it.
So you couldn't even get past the intro?
Oh, dude. I mean, her intro. I was like, it is garbage. I cannot listen to this. So yeah.
All right. So title match.
I did watch that. Yeah.
How'd you feel about it?
I thought it was good. Roman Reigns being a heel. I mean, that's, he's a bad. A lot of people didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading like a lot of people were like, I can't believe Roman Reigns destroyed Edge and Daniel Bryan. I was like, well, he's a bad guy. That's what bad guys do. I mean,
well, and the way they did it, because they had Jay involved, and honestly, Reigns' story needs to. It's kind of like Kenny Omega's story in a way, where you have to be committed to letting that play out for a while.
Sure.
Like, Reigns needs to basically beat everybody. Whoever's going to be the guy to knock Reigns off for the belt, I kind of feel like it needs to be your next big person.
Agreed.
Which
I don't know that's going to be in WWE. Beyond.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea who you would do it with. But you've set it up now, and they've done it in a very short time, really.
Yep.
Like Reigns is like it's like when they had Lesnar or Undertaker's streak. Like, it's not quite there, but as super casual watching it, whoever beats Reigns, it's going to be a big deal for them if they play it upright. So you could completely make somebody that's kind of newer. But like in this case, Edge doesn't need to beat Roman. Daniel Bryan doesn't need to beat Roman. But Roman laying them both out, stacking them up and pinning them and continuing to be the champion, that strengthens him, I would say.
Where's the other Uso brother at?
I was reading, someone was trying to figure that out the other day, if he had been injured or what had happened, or if they're just keeping him off for a while.
Okay.
Because when Roman and Jay were like kind of doing the little feud, he came out a couple times, but they mentioned that he was injured.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if that's real injured or Wrestling World injured.
Yeah, I think that Roman Reigns needs a couple more people in his family or group or whatever they're calling that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he would. I think he'll probably be the best heel faction leader dude.
Yeah,
longest time.
I mean, it's an excellent character. It makes me watch clips of SmackDown, so that's a lot. And then, so to following WrestleMania, we get the Raw after WrestleMania, which isn't quite so special without a crowd to be crazy. We get some releases from the WWE.
Yes.
So, for the most part, I'm not super surprised at some of the releases. The
people were shocked by Roman Reigns, by what's his name, Samoa Joe.
Yes, I understand because you have Samoa Joe, and then Roman Reigns is actually the Samoan named Joe in real life, so it's kind of the same.
Well, Samoa Joe, so everyone was shocked by that. I'm not, because he's injured, right? And he has like a history of concussions, don't he?
He basically got injured a few times in a row, was doing the commentary. Yeah. It sounds like he's no idea if any of this is true, but he's been wanting to investigate getting cleared to wrestle again. And WWE is largely overprotective about that. I mean, it's better that they be overly cautious, I think. But the thing, to me, it's surprising because he's good on commentary. Like I've enjoyed his commentary. Someone was like, it's funny that one of the last things we'll ever see of Joe is him standing in a poncho with Michael Cole.
Yes.
But like, he was always good. So, like for him, I could see him like going on a brief, like assuming he can be cleared to wrestle. Like he's not going to be a top guy anywhere, but he's definitely one of those guys that you could plug in to be like the gatekeeper role.
Sure.
Where he can beat, people, but if you beat him, it still feels like a big deal.
Well, and the good thing for him, I mean, AEW is doing their thing, Impact.
Yeah, there's places he can go. So. The other thing is, like, if it is where he's like, man, I'm kind of done, but I want to at least get, like, one last storyline in. Like, basically go out intentionally and not go out unexpectedly and not get any kind of finality to your career.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they've released Billy Kay and Peyton Royce.
Yep.
People are not happy about that at all. Mickey James, I was kind of surprised by, but maybe not. I mean, their women's division is really strong, but
sure.
Mickey James isn't bad at all. I'd like to see her show up somewhere. I would think she would go back to Impact.
I mean,
I wouldn't care
Isn't her husband in NWA? So I mean, she could also go there.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I'd kind of like to see her stop by AEW briefly for a couple matches. Honestly,
AEW, they should pick up a lot of these women wrestlers that got fired because.
I'm gonna say that Billy Kay and Peyton Royce I've never been impressed by them in the ring as far as wrestling ability.
Yeah.
I think Mickey James, you could have her have a few matches, and it would be good. I mean, if she wanted to go there, that's fine. But like kind of same with Joe. Like, it feels like AEW is the place where if you don't have a contract, you could show up for kind of like Ryder did.
Yeah, sure.
Show up and like have a couple matches with some people and then move on, almost like a territory kind of thing.
Since they have a deal with Impact,
Yeah.
I mean, you can get a deal with Impact and still be a part of AEW. So who knows?
Yeah, or have like a match with somebody. Chelsea Green, I think, if I could be wrong on this, so again, but I think she got injured like a couple times, and she was like one of those people that shows a lot of promise, but she just got injured like a couple times in a row. So,
well, apparently she's like really, really good friends with Britt Baker. So, and I guess she was hinting on Instagram that she's going to AEW. That's what people speculate. So,
yeah, that's
I don't
fine.
know.
I mean, honestly, they can add more women talent and then just sort it out over time. I mean, their women's division is getting way better there. So it's just taking some time. The poor Tucker. Be like, all right, we're going to split you from Otis.
We kind of knew that was going to happen, didn't we?
I think so. I mean, that was like he didn't even get a feud with Otis out of it. So, Callisto, Bo Dallas, Mojo Rawley. I don't know who Wesley Blake is.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Like, I am not sure. So, again, I'm not pretending that I follow WWE super closely here. Mojo, he could be good, but I sure did hate the get hyped, stay hyped character more than
His character in WWE was terrible.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's like an intense dude who's built. So it's one of those. You should be able to find something for him to do. Like, he committed to the get hyped, stay hyped thing as hard as you could. It seems like it's just he needs to find something that works for him.
why you didn't team up Bo Dallas with Bray Wyatt, I don't understand.
It certainly seems like a missed opportunity.
No.
I wonder if Bo Dallas is done and he's just going to, like, sell houses now. Like, supposedly he has,
Maybe.
like, a real estate business or something.
Really? Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
I hope that he still says Bo leave as much as he possibly can. I never really got it, like, because he was like NXT champion and then he came up. I knew a couple people who were like, oh yeah, Bo Dallas is awesome. I never saw it, but again, he's one of those guys that committed to it. I mean, he knew what he was doing. It's just I didn't like it.
I think if he still wants to wrestle or whatever, and he goes to AEW or Impact or whatever,
Yeah.
I think that the name,
Yeah, him being a rotunda.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think
but
that
yeah, they were supposedly budget cuts is what it came down to.
sure.
So who knows? Like, someone was saying something there, like, the women's tag division is really bad in WWE. If only they had like another team that people actually were interested in. Because
I didn't ever really understand that. So
yeah, it's funny that it took all of a year for the women's tag division to basically be the same as the men's tag division, where it's obvious that no one cares about tag team wrestling.
sure. Well, that's what I'm saying. She Peyton can go to AEW, join the Pinnacle, be with her husband, and
Right. Let's see. You want to touch on Dynamite real quick?
Sure.
All right. Let's see. So, Bucks are super bad guys.
Yes.
Let's see here. Tyson gets interrupted by MJF. I am shocked that MJF did not get knocked out by Tyson. I mean, obviously, you don't want to do that to MJF, but man, would people love that.
Tyson's turning on the inner circle. I mean,
You think?
am I the only one seeing this?
I don't know. I mean, I've thought it, but I just don't know.
I think he is.
I don't know.
Yep.
I mean, I can see it. I mean, he's already turned on Jericho once. It'd be funny to do it again.
Yes.
So, Young Bucks against Death Triangle back in Phoenix.
Yep.
Pretty good match. I would say,
Yep.
I mean, pretty good is kind of, I've seen combinations of all these guys, so they're always, it's a phenomenal match, but if you have like super awesome matches all the time, it's hard to be like, oh, this is the second greatest super match. Like, it's hard to say.
It's just weird seeing
Not Pentagon?
trying, not Pentagon. It bugs me.
Right. Well, I mean, the Bucks have also faced the actual Lucha Bros like a million dozen times, so seeing
Sure.
a slightly different turn on it was good.
Yeah.
So something that stuck out to me is every time they cut to the other tag teams in the crowd, they look so disinterested. Like,
Sure.
I don't know. They needed like Austin Gunn over there to be freaking out.
Yes.
So I am curious. The finish to this had all kinds of crazy action throughout the match, but what really, like, the end, like, they pull the mask off Phoenix and get the dirty pin, which
Yeah.
I think this is the second time at least that's happened. I know there was an indie match where Mox beat Pentagon by doing that and then hitting him with the Death Rider.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess after the fact, Phoenix said on some kind of social media thing, he was challenging the Bucks to a hair versus mask match.
Yeah.
So I'm
Well, it
wondering.
sounds like Ray Phoenix and what's his name, Pentagon, have a lot of legal issues with their name when it comes to
Yeah. Well, I think
Lucha Underground or whatever.
AAA and Lucha Underground, and there's all kinds of stuff.
So maybe I can see them losing their masks or whatever and or rebranding themselves. That way they can, I don't know.
I mean, it could be. I don't know. The Bucks losing a hair match would be interesting. Like, if they just really wanted to be totally different.
The one Buck looks like he's kind of losing his hair. So
Yeah,
maybe.
Nick. I was about to say, Nick is already fighting that battle from the
Yes.
front. So maybe he's just going to embrace it.
Yes.
I mean, that would be kind of interesting. At some point, if they don't do this, because it's happened a couple times now, at some point, I'm going to call it now, Lucha Brothers are going to have a second mask on under the first mask.
Yeah.
And I assume it'll be against the Bucks because they're the culprits more often than not. But they're going to pull the mask off and then turn around, like, face the crowd like they did it again. And then when they turn back around, the Lucha Brother is still going to have the mask on, and then they're going to lose.
Sure.
That's my long-term prediction one day. Like, 6 years from now,
Yeah.
they will pay that off. Excalibur was very unhappy on
Yeah.
commentary.
Yes.
Which was good. They sort of... So this is interesting because I'm looking at the official AEW page because they asked Hangman what was going on with the Bucks and Kenny Omega, and he's the number one contender. And he... Because he basically didn't want to talk about that, and he kind of left away. But, like, the official results blatantly say that he dodged the question before leaving. So there's definitely something going on there. But we got a John Silver update, so 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Hangman in the Dark Order fights the Elite. I think that's what that's leading up to.
It seems like that's how it would have to be, but because so Darby called out anyone in the top 5, and I was reading a couple theories because I think we were talking. I was like, maybe you have Hangman lose to somebody just to cool him down, because kind of like Roman, it's not time for Kenny to lose it anytime soon. I don't think. So how do you get him away from it? Now, him dodging it is interesting.
Yep.
Like, what does he be like? Well.
Covered, and there's so much more.
All right, so we have had, due to internet issues through Spectrum, thank you very much, my internet is going out constantly, like every 10 to 20 seconds, it feels like. So we are not really able to finish up too much. I think the last thing we were talking about was kind of Hangman and keeping him away from Omega, and then we talked a little bit more about it. Saul's decided that he loves the best friends now, so he's super rooting for them. He's genuinely excited about the idea of one day Riddle coming over and joining them. Really, other than that, something I'd like to point out that we didn't get to talk about is Christian Cage standing next to Hobbs. I always forget that Christian's actually kind of big. He always felt small in WWE. I was a fan of the final match with Darby and Matt Hardy. Not sure how Saul felt on that one. But yeah, so we're just going to end it here due to all those problems. Hopefully internet will be cleared up, or we'll have a workaround for next week. So till then.
Not the bears!